All right, I said I'm gonna try this again, see if anybody come through. Don't know. We'll see if everything goes through. If I don't see nobody come through, I'm only gonna be on for like 10 minutes. So thought I'd try it one more time. I didn't know if there was any. I saw some faces in some places, but I didn't see any correspond. So if I don't see anyone through, I'm just going to, you know, just chalk it up to that being that kind of night. So we'll see. Sometimes it just be kind of on the low low. So we'll see what's up though. I did want to talk about if anybody came through, I was going to talk about Damian Lillard. Boy, they got whipped up by the Heat. What I was talking about. Glad Miami didn't make that move. They got their butt tore up last night. Um, hope that ends this whole. What's up? What's up? Okay, now you're on. Okay, cool. I didn't know. Yeah, you can hear me. Okay, because I was on. I didn't get no beat before, so just want to see, see what's going on. No, you the one who remember you asked me. You said to me, "Oh, how come Miami didn't get him?" And you saw last night. See, that's why I don't. When I answer questions, sometimes you ask me. Oh, okay, okay. No, but I'm telling you about Dame. I'm telling you about Dame. I told you he wouldn't have worked with Miami, and I went to two raw. I left the comments because I said in Dame's case, you need to have two alphas and someone to play defense because all Dame wants to do is just um, tap his uh, wrist, and then he wants to shoot them logo threes. So you know, uh, that's what's up. So I don't spend no time with Dame. So I don't know who Ringo is. No, mm, had to verify yourself on that one. But yeah, but at what cost though? We talking about winning rings at this stage. We're not talking about because he can stat pad and have big games. We talking about can he win? You know. So if he can't win, you know, and I still think they're gonna miss Drew Holiday. I don't like their defensive rotation. I don't like what I see with them. So you know, just saying. Yeah, he said he wanted out of the Clippers, but they didn't move from him. He was a good fit there. He was tough. See, he bed hopped. He left Miami. He didn't really fit too good. He tried to be a spot on shooter in the corner. Then with Philly, he was a good fit in Milwaukee. That was his best, you know, that was his best spot, in all honesty. That's to my personal opinion. So I would have I would have been trying to keep him. Like I said, they had the chemistry. They just had the wrong coach. But, you know, that's just my personal opinion. I think he was better in Milwaukee. That's what I think. I think that's where he had his best moments. Yeah. I was talking about that in one of my videos that I had deleted because I had done a solo video here because I didn't know if anybody's gonna come through. And I had talked about that. And you want my thoughts about it? I was glad to see Shaq get it honored. He was integral to their team. I mean, he was the big time superstar. I remember it all like yesterday because, he was picked as one of the 50 greatest players. Some people had issue with that at the time. He'd get them to a finals. And even though Dwight did and he won a game, they haven't had a lot of success. But I do think, yeah, B. Shaw he was cool. I remember all the cats that were there when Shaq was there. but I think it is he should got retired. He did lead them to a finals. That has to count for something. He was the biggest superstar. That's a fact, you know. So I think it's fitting. I ain't got no problem with it. I saw what Stephen A. and Mad Dog was saying. Like whatever. They give guys video tributes who play 2 weeks for some of these buster teams. And you mean to tell me you're gonna have a problem with Shaq who actually played there? Come on now. And did lead the team to the finals. And I'm glad he honored Nick Anderson. That was classy. You know. I still think if he makes one of those free throws and they win game one, that series could have gone either way. He was. He was. And for a center, he was probably the biggest crossover. That's one of the reasons why some of the old guard hates him too. Because he really did transition in terms of like with his music and movies and commercial. Kareem did movies and stuff and Chamberlain did stuff, but they weren't like Shaq. That's a whole different level of crossover. And to be honest with you, there really hasn't been a big since Shaq that crossed over like that. If you want to get technical about it, oh yeah, yeah, he is. Whether people like him or not, he is because he was the first big that really crossed over in a big way. You know, the when you add all the other attributes to him, he towers over all the bigs. Now you can make the case Kareem might be the better player overall. You can make the case Kareem's the GOAT. Or you can say that about Russell. But when you put the whole attributes together on and off, the crossover, the marketing, Shaq's got him beat. You can make the case with Chamberlain if you want to. You know, like I said, I did a video where I gave the big men their due. But Shaq was a unique one because it went to another level. He just came at the right time and then the marketing was there. He had the talent. So it took a whole another level. Jokic. Jokic's a better player. He can shoot outside, inside, a better passer, better team leader. That's not even close for me. Jokic is listen, we're gonna be talking about Jokic and Ted and I were talking about it yesterday. Jokic is gonna be making a knocking on the top 5 door. The 6 through 10 slot, them cats, if he wins another ring, they fit to be had. I'm just gonna keep it 100. He won another ring, they fit to be had. Then it's just a matter of how he stacks up amongst the elite. But yeah, he got Ewan beat. Oh, I'd say Dallas in 2011. Dirk. The Rockets made it tough because they lost those road games. But when we terms of talent, Dirk had a tougher road in 2011. If you're asking me, that to me was a tougher road. If you think the Pistons, who they beat in 6 games, but they just beat them what they should have done a year prior. It's just a Shaq and D-Wade did stay healthy in 2006. And I guess coming back from Dallas, if you're looking at the finals, but if I'm going by the whole, I'm going to say Dallas and I'll say Dallas in 20 still got to beat because Dirk had to go through the Lakers, he had to go through OKC, he had to go through San Antonio, and he had to beat Miami. That's a tall task. So I'm gonna give Dirk 2011 more impressive. More impressive. So, but you know, like I said, J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith. I mean, everyone's gonna say about the boneheaded play, catching the ball and running back. That's the one. Magic Johnson, 84, when they call him Tragic Johnson, and mishandling the clock through that pass to Gerald Henderson. But you see, uh, man, that's not fair to Magic because he's 100 times better than J.R. Smith. But no, because he just was frustrated. The end was near. His personal life was crumbling, but he redeemed himself. And it's not, he jacked shots. He looked horrible in the game 7 against Boston in 2010, if you want to use that logic. The only difference is that they won. So we'll really ask yourself which one is worse. You lose the finals or you win the finals where you stink it up. Tell me. Because he was polar opposites, but the results, but they happened to win one, lost one. So that's the difference right there. So yeah, that was the one that happened right there with that. So ask yourself 2004, 2010. Yeah. So it all depends. He choked, but it had more to do with just him not coming through in the fourth quarter. I will give you that. I'm not going to even argue that. No argument with that. Because he still is torn behind it as we speak to this day. That's a fact. That's a fact. He came up short big time. That was embarrassing. I don't even know if I can call it a bummer as much as I say it was embarrassing. Yeah, he missed all those shots against Houston. And they had to rely on John Starks, and John Starks had to shoot that ball at crazily, and yeah. So, and Patrick never did redeem himself from that. And then the next time they got to the finals, which was in '99, with Allen Houston and Latrell, and he was hurt. And then Dave Robinson and Duncan was just playing pound cake in the box. So, you know, those are some good moments that you mentioned. But I'm not going to, with Kobe, you could say multiple times if you want to be technical. Not so much 2008 because Boston just beat that butt, but he looked bad shooting in Detroit and against the last Boston, what they did win. So take that. But LeBron's is embarrassing. I don't even call that a bum moment. That was just embarrassing. That was like a scrub moment because I heard all kinds of jokes. You 3 quarters, you're missing 1 quarter for $1. They ribbed him. Patrick had his thing. What about him? Braun 2007, the Spurs sheet 20. Again, what about him? What's the question? Or is there a question to that? Um, Cleveland was outmanned against San Antonio. That's all that was. That was like putting a boy in them doing a man's work, and they weren't prepared. I don't think he choked. I don't hold that one against him. They were a better team. They were a better team. That's when Pop was at the apex at that time. Parker, Ginobili, uh, Duncan were unstoppable. That was just a one-sided affair. He wasn't. He was a pup then, and he really didn't understand the concepts. So I can't. That one, he got swept. They were lost to a way better team. It was even Steven, but it came down to who had the last possession, really. And I really don't put Sheed on that one because the Spurs had more weapons. Remember, if you remember that finals, Ginobili could have, if the finals had ended quicker, Ginobili could have been MVP. No. You say that, but I'm gonna say this in Stark's defense. He wasn't really even supposed to be chucking them shots like this. You remember that was in '94. This ain't 2014 or 2024. He was like 20, 30 years ahead of what you're doing now. That's the norm today. But that was interesting. I'll say this, Ted. That was a bum move of coaching. Well, not a bum move. That was a choke job move on Pat Riley's part. But that's because Patrick Ewing just was ineffective. They had no one else. So blame that on Riley. Because Starks was doing what he was authorized to do. So that was, but they couldn't beat Houston. So, and Mario Elliott, Kenny Smith, Sam Cassell was knocking shots down. What you gonna do? Perimeter was better for Houston. That's what that came down to. So he came up short. He came up short. I think in anything I'll say in his defense, they didn't have a center, and he got caught being winded, and sometimes he just couldn't, finish it up. But sometimes you just don't win, And it wasn't like it's one of the worst performances because he still was a double man. But when you mention, I'll say Karl Malone doesn't look as bad as Starks did, but Starks is not really that kind of guy. but that's because he was forced to because Patrick Ewing couldn't really come through, and they had nobody else. And Riley had got now coached by Rudy Tomjanovich. How you figure? He hit a big shot in the finals against the Lakers. It's just that Kobe was better and playing at a better level. Jalen at the time was I. He was I. He was I. I can't be mad at Reggie though. Kobe was playing better, you know. And I'm gonna say this real quick too. If your best shooter is your coach, now if your best shooter is your coach, you're not gonna do because Larry Bird still. I didn't see. Now, funny when we start talking about Reggie Miller because is he one of the 75 greatest players? And I actually saw some cat that said the Hall of Fame is supposed to be the great, not the really good, very good. They said that about Reggie. Reggie was a shooter. Reggie was a rhythmic shooter. But what all could Reggie do? I don't know what you expected from him. It wasn't so much as older, it's just that the Lakers had a better team. You know, they had a better team. Shaq was peak prime. They also had Glenn Rice, and Kobe was coming up in Fox and D Fox, Rick Fox and D Fish. I just don't think that Indiana had their best chance in '98, and they didn't finish the Bulls up. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. '98 was the one. And had they played Utah in that finals, we might be looking at either Reggie or Carl, would have been interesting. So I didn't have no expectations for Reggie because I knew what Reggie was about, you know. So but I think he got the most of his career with Larry Bird as a coach, Mark Jackson at the point, you know. But I didn't have any expectation, no. No. And I look at Karl Malone as 3 times better than Reggie Miller. So take that how you want. There's some interesting ones that y'all mentioned, but I didn't have much expectation for Reggie. It all depends on how you're looking at said person. What'd you think about the news about LeBron and Steph maybe have been teammates? What you would have thought about that? And I did a whole segment before the notification came through because I said that they both long in the tooth and I can't see it right now. About 4 or 5 years ago, but I don't want to see them both because then it proves my point. It would have been interesting to an extent, but you got to give up the house to bring him over. It would, it would, because I think Curry's the better player of the two. And I know people gonna come in on me because LeBron's all around and all that. Now I like the way Curry leads, and when you play with Steph, you are playing better. I can't say that with LeBron, so I can't say that. In fact, Golden State's a game over 500 now. That ain't a big deal, but for what they bad as they look, well, in his defense, talking about Steph's a shooter and he facilitates. So actually, it'd still be his team. I don't think it would make him look that bad in this regard. LeBron would have to come and make it. It did wonders for KD because KD got in the ring argument and it helped his legacy. But KD don't look too good now. So how bad would that make Steph look? KD don't look that good. I think that if it wasn't for the fact you got to give up so much and you're leaving Anthony Davis behind, I think if it was a different situation, I never looked at it as a move. I thought it was a smart move. I think if he still was with Golden State right now, his legacy would be even better. Because ironically, the thing that you call a pump move, ironically, he hasn't played better since. OKC was all MVP, got to the finals, but they were hit and miss, underachieved. Brooklyn, foot on the line, by a pinch, never got back. And the whole thing evaporated with Kyrie and Harden. And they dissed Steve Nash. Now he with Phoenix. So you tell me, in hindsight, he should have kept his behind in Golden State. That's what I think. I don't think it was a bum move. I thought it was the only move he could have made because he wanted to win. He couldn't win with Westbrook. And I know he's chasing LeBron because LeBron does it all the time. But it ended up being the best move because he was an alpha and he was comfortable. He doesn't really fit trying to be the leader, but he needs another alpha. And Steph was the perfect vehicle. So I'm going to always think it was a great move. I question why he left. That's what I question because in hindsight, he might be pushing towards ring number 4 or 5. And he ain't close to it now. Nowhere close. So you tell me. Do you like he gonna win a ring in Brooklyn or Phoenix? I don't think so. So, but we'll just have to disagree on that one. I think it was, you know, I think if Braun went to Golden State, it depends on what they got around him. He would, but he needs an alpha. They don't have an alpha. Jimmy Butler and Bam play hard, but you got to have another guy that can yin and yang. It's not the right fit. KD would have to go there, and you'd have to have somebody that's considered, he would, but they got to have, you know, a certain piece to complement it. And he has to have a piece that complements what he do because he don't want to have to be the main dude. I'm telling you, he's not cut like that. And then Miami wouldn't touch him now. No way. He older. He's injury prone. And he's not, he probably got about, I'd say 2 to 3 years solid after this year. But I don't foresee it where he's, I don't see ring worthy though. I see stat worthy. Yeah, I'll give you that. If MB can stay healthy, yeah, that would be. I like that trade. I like that trade because Maxey would be a good fit with Booker, and he could score, and he could really get into a role as a second option and be scary. I like that one. I like that one. If MB stays healthy and KD can stay healthy, that's a great move. Then they got a chance. So I like that for actually I like that move for both teams. I think Phoenix gets quicker and they can become anywhere they got a chance to be anywhere from third, fourth, fifth seed. And I say that because with a cat like Maxey who's just entering his peak in his prime with Booker and some of the pieces they got, they would definitely have some room to wiggle. Embiid and KD could be scary if it was to happen. That would be great. That's a great one. I like that one. That's one of the better rumors I've heard. But you better make that happen the next year or two, because if you don't, you'd have to do that before next year. By next year, anything after next year, it's the pull date gets. Well, he need to stay healthy, and he got to be focused because I think he got the right coach. You know, they got to figure out what to bring in though. The only reason why I know why they won't touch KD is because he's older, and you'd have to have another component. But but if they could keep Maxey and bring him in, I'd make that move. I'd get rid of Tobias Harris and draft picks and crazy. I'd make that move because I think that's what KD would need. They need a three-headed punch. I don't think they can make it with just a 1-2 punch. I know they can't. Not at this stage. When KD was with Steph, that's all he had, the right components. But you need another piece. He has that right. He has that. Well, you got to remember what he grew up on. I mean, if you grew up watching Wilt Chamberlain, you can't argue against Wilt, Bill Russell, Elgin Baylor, Oscar Robertson. I mean, come on, those four guys can hang in any era. If you're a basketball aficionado, You can call it that, but he can also be looked at as he was a precursor to him. And he has every right to be, because when he was in the ABA, he did the same things. But he was too black. He came in with the fro. He scared folks. He came to Philly. He was doing things before Jordan. He was doing things before Jordan. He listen. If we take Dr. J's ABA career and mix it with the NBA, if we mix it up and get the best of it, that guy's a top 10 himself, and he was special. The NBA had to come get at him. He didn't have to go to the NBA. They came to him at the ABA. It did. But he could play. He scored. He did things. He gets left out of the conversation because he was too ABA was considered too black. It was kind of like, and the NBA needed it. They have whitewashed the legacy of it. Had a good old Terry Pluto had an ABA book. If you haven't read it, check it out. Terry Pluto's ABA book. It's a great book. But but he probably has seen those kinds of guys though. He doesn't have to have them in his top 5. There's nothing wrong with it. The Jordan one you can make a debate about, but LeBron, you can have. I mean, he's not in my top 5, especially if they talking like Cornel West. Like if they look like Cornel West, but they talking like they don't care, they can be real scary. I just think that he doesn't get all uh, bent on Michael Jordan. Everybody doesn't. There are people who aren't big on Jordan. You know, I've met some, you know. And when you talk about who's everybody's top greatest players, I mean, everybody don't think monolithic. So, you know, depends on who you talk to. So I have no problem with that. That's what make the world go round. Well, he lost, but the reason why they lost is Horace Grant, because Horace was the X factor, and that's why the Bulls had to go get Rodman. That was the one. But it's just that the thing about with Jordan is that he was dominant. He was incredible talent, but there's a difference between saying you don't have him in your top 5 and just being a hater. There's a difference. If you have concrete players that you think were better and you're using logic, you can. You can. You know, don't always base it on rings. But I mean, it just depends on what. It also depends on the competition in the NBA. It was a different era. Now if somebody wanted to knock Jordan down pegs because of the '80s basketball when Magic, Bird, Dr. J, those guys were winning. Isaiah Thomas, Isaiah ain't better than Jordan, but I'll say this: Isaiah was tough, and it's not even December. And I'm thinking about eggnog. It's like some eggnog there, eggnoggy. But if you got a legit argument, I mean, I'm not gonna argue with you. It's subjective anyway. Yeah, that's like some Starbucks get you like, it's like what I call shoe polish with a twist. Shirley Temple shoe polish. So yeah. But anyway, that all depends on that though. You mean like if you smile? If you show teeth and you too happy. Some people are, some don't, you know. But the hair. But that has happened though. It all depends on who you're dealing with. So all depends on who you're dealing with. That's the best way I can describe it. I'm not gonna say it no other way. All depends on who we dealing with. Well, it depends on what the context we talking about. If it's a sports bar, it depends. Yeah, if it gets into a racial situation, yeah, or they get loud, touchy feely. But it works white folks amongst white folks when they get angry. It can be interesting too. But I don't really, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really partake in that scene. You know, I was a time when I used to go to football sports bars way back in the day, and they be drinking and get loud. But it depends. Depends on where you are. Especially so, I've had these discussions about Patrick Mahomes, and now he's about to be really polarizing. I don't know if you guys have went through it. So debating where he ranks with Montana and Brady, and I said, look, he's more talented them cats. And I said, um, oh yeah, that's been going on forever. Oh, Jackie Robinson had to face that all the time. All do. Because you're not really black. If you ever seen Do the Right Thing with Pino and Spike Lee and Mookie, and he says they're black, but they're not really black. I mean, they're more than stars. You know, he says Magic, Prince, um, Eddie Murphy. They're not really black. Those are three. And then he said, you know, Bump You and Michael Jackson and all that. So that's how it really has always been. It's nothing new. Bobby Brown had an interview way back in the day, and he said that he was at a parking lot and he put the magazine over his head face. He said they was saying all kinds of N words and stuff. And so uh it's like the double face that you get. So but yeah, that's nothing new though. Nothing at all. You expect that. That's what Russell Westbrook went through recently. I did my video about that. As you compliment on it, thank you, comment on it. And he got called a boy in Miami. So by an older white cat too. So it happens, you know. And this Ken and Karen culture or this vindictive nature is real. So but I keep myself out of places that I know I'm not going to be wanted. But anyway, my point was I was on the Facebook bar, and the cat was talking about Montana and Mahomes. They got into it. I said, "Look, Mahomes." He said, "Well, he ain't done enough." And I brought up the black. He's a black quarterback. Call it half black, how you want to call it. He still got the drops, and they ain't never used to that. So that's what you're dealing with. You're not used to it. That's why it's going to be a big elephant in the room with his success. But every time he win, that reality is real. So, but no, I didn't. I haven't. I didn't. I kept myself a lot in places. It scared, it scared that white man did it, how he looked. Who you talking about? Cause I was online. We were just it was sports bar. It was just chat. Yeah, I was just talking about my home, you know. And the next thing you know, we got into because I was saying it's racial, and he said, I said it's just like Barry Bonds. He said, "Oh, he was steroids junkie," and I said, "Okay." And I said, sometimes you just know when someone's great. I said, but Mahomes is the elephant in the room because you've never had a black quarterback that you could debate in the GOAT conversation. And I'm gonna keep on saying it because of the racism in the NFL, the systematic institutionalized racism, you've had white quarterbacks. Automatically, you mention 12 white guys. You never say a black dude. I am. I am. I am. I did it on Skip Bayless's X thread too. Cause I said you can't, this is the first time you've ever been able to do this. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Now I'm pulling for my bills, of course, and I wouldn't mind if Lamar Jackson won because they try to downplay Lamar. I said, but you realize if Lamar ever wins a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl MVP with the Heisman and two league MVPs, He won't be on the level of Mahomes, but then you gotta possibly put him top 10 because I mean his resume will be crazy too. They didn't miss out on him. They didn't want him. Him and his mother were doing his contract. They didn't want that. That's why he got to get signed because he didn't allow himself to get slaved and pimped. They wanted him to crawl in with that Jewish lawyer attorney. They didn't want him as mama. He was handling his own business affairs. That's why. That's the story they don't put out. That's what happened to Lamar. Oh, everybody had access to Lamar, but nobody wanted to budge because he thought he was a mighty Negro. And they thought that because they were changing the courses of offense that he was going to tumble and fall off. That's why you bet on him. As long as you got Bill Poland out there hating on him. I'm just calling it like what it is. They want him to have a mess of lawyer. They don't want him to think for himself. So I think I touched on an older Lamar video I did about that. That's what it was. They didn't miss out on him. They didn't like that he was doing business for himself. I think he was uppity. So if you didn't know, I'm gonna tell you now. That's what was up. It wasn't about. It was because he was handling his own affairs. Kind of made me think of when Ray Allen was playing in the NBA and he hired Johnny Cochran because it costs you get a lawyer. I think it's $500, $600 an hour. It's Ray did that. You don't need to have a hot shot agent. That's how cats get in trouble with their money. And before you know it, everything been charged out and they're working for peanuts. Agents gets all the money. They get taken out. So but yeah. So that's how I look at that. They Everybody had a chance to get Lamar. Everybody. Yeah, Blaine Gilbert. That's kind of like Adam Morrison with the Lakers. There's always one of them scrubs who gets hooked up. He did do some good mop up work though. He had to play for Kansas City at one of them games. He do okay mop up work. Yeah, and them rings will come in big for him too. Watch. You laugh now, he'll be a general manager or coach about 5, 10 years. That's all I say with that. Oh, there's plenty of them. Plenty. Okay. Okay, I'll be in a second. So that's all I gotta say with that. They do reward them. They got nothing to laugh about. They got their butt handed to them on a platter last night. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. They I don't know what they laughing about. Miami tore they behind up. They should be laughing at themselves, and they should put a bag over their head since Doc Rivers got there. Their defense has been atrocious. I don't know how for real we are. I mean, it's still early in the season. I mean, I got to see what they do. Jim Butler, can he stay? He just had a loss in the family. I got to see what they do. But I'm not worried about Milwaukee, though. No one is. Charles Barkley, they already called him soft. No one is giving the Buck no love. This was before the Doc came in. Because they don't feel Dame. That's the reality. I'm gonna make a quickie. I gotta go eat real quick. I will be back. So if you cats be on, I will come back. Peace the best. Stay up, stay warm, stay safe. I will be back. Yeah. Well, this was pretty big though. It was pretty big. He lost someone close. But they can still be a factor. I mean, like I said, you know how the Heat work. Heat don't really wake up to game 70. And then that's when they start to percolate. So we'll see. You know. But they can beat Milwaukee. No one's worried about Milwaukee. I've seen the analysts, they've been accurate about it too. No one's worried about Milwaukee. Milwaukee's seen as soft, which they are, because they're missing Drew Holiday. And they wanted to settle on being perimeter and scoring. Good luck with that. All right, I'm going to step off for a minute. I will be back. So if I catch you cats, peace the best. You come back on, I'll be actually back within the hour or less. All right, I'm out. Peace.